Currently, the sport of boxing boasts a multitude of great fighters, each competing to become the mythical pound-for-pound best in the entire world. And with the industry also delivering elite-level matchups at a higher rate than in recent years, one fighter in particular has capitalized on this new norm to establish himself as a true historic great. Ukraine's unbeaten superstar, Oleksandr Usyk, capped off his rise to boxing immortality in the spring of 2024 when he pulled off a thrilling victory over Tyson Fury to become the first undisputed heavyweight champion of the four-belt era. Such an achievement, however, was just the latest in a long streak of remarkable feats that began over a decade earlier. And in this video, we run through the most magical moments of Usyk's glittering career, as well as his innate qualities as a fighter, to explain why, when all is said and done, he will be remembered as one of the sport's greatest fighters of all time. As tempting as it may be to jump straight to his most recent and popular accomplishment, the story of Usyk's greatness cannot be told without first mentioning his exploits as an amateur, where an extremely tough, regiment chapter would form the crucial foundations for a professional career later on. Here, Usyk amassed a phenomenal record of 335 wins out of 350 fights, competing in elite international tournaments as early as 18 and earning a place in the Ukraine Olympic team 3 years later in Beijing.
In the red, Oleksandr Usyk, talented 21-year-old from the Ukraine.
Representing one's nation and winning the Olympic gold medal remains the holy grail for every amateur fighter in the world. But on this occasion, Usyk could progress no further than the quarterfinals, when he was outpointed by Italy's Clemente Russo.
As you get a look at the 21-year-old Oleksandr Usyk of the Ukraine, beaten by the 26-year-old from Naples.
This heartbreak spurred Usyk on the single most important quest of his career, where for the next 4 years, he would work tirelessly in preparation for the next Olympic Games.
Usyk really has powered his way through to this 6-point advantage.
Along the way, he won gold at the 2008 European Championships and 2011 World Championships, to finally enter the 2012 Olympics in London as one of the main favourites. Success against Russia's Artur Beterbiev and Bulgaria's Tervel Pulev then set him up for a poetic finale against his victor from 4 years before, Clemente Russo. The first round went to the tricky Italian, forcing Usyk to pick up the pace in the second with a more aggressive, active approach of his own to even the score.
Defeated 5 fellow Europeans on his way to win the title last year. Good left hand.
The ability to close the distance and fire quick combinations swung the momentum in Usyk's favour, and a more desperate start from Russo in the third allowed Usyk to pick him off with sharp counters and constant movement. By the fight's close, Usyk led the scores 14-11 to avenge his defeat in Beijing, and become only the third Olympic boxing gold medalist in Ukraine's history, after Vladimir Klitschko in 1996 and Vasily Lomachenko in 2008.
He is the business, a spectacular end, and the Ukrainian world heavyweight champion has become the Olympic heavyweight champion.
By Usyk's own admission, this Olympic triumph remains his most prized achievement even to this day. An exhausting amateur journey totaling 350 fights against a variety of styles and disciplines across the world was finally rewarded with the most cherished honor an amateur fighter can attain. Having scored the biggest prize possible in the amateur circuit, the stage was set for a highly anticipated professional journey. From his debut in November of 2013, it took just 9 fights, whilst maintaining a 100% knockout record, to work his way up to world title contention.
In many ways has the more conventional boxer's body, and that's a great combination.
And against the undefeated WBO champion, Krzysztof Glowacki, the Ukrainian began a glittering chapter of his cruiserweight career, whereby a rapid expansion into the division's elite saw him engulf numerous accolades to become the supreme #1.
And the new WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the World!
The WBO crowning provided an express ticket to compete in a new revolutionary tournament, where Usyk would battle through a streak of proven past and present world champions.
What's the name of your opponent?
It's Marco Huck.
Marco Huck it is. Please join us up on stage.
In the first round of the competition, he faced Marco Huck, a seasoned veteran that once held Usyk's current title for 6 dominant years. The Ukrainian knew to combat his experience with high energy and an array of power-punching assaults to force a 10th round stoppage.
Usyk working away furiously. Shots underneath. Robert Bird has stepped in and has waved it off.
The victory underscored his status as the tournament favourite and invited the consensus second favourite to then meet him in the semi-final.
So here we go then, the first of a scheduled 12 3-minute rounds.
Unlike the previous opponent, Mairis Briedis was a 23-0 WBC world champion at the physical peak of his career. A skillful puncher in his own right, he offered up the technical firefight that fans were hoping for.
Usyk had just taken a stiff right hand and there's a mark beneath his right eye. Good right hand over the top from Briedis and Usyk's tucking up, just a line, hoping that this storm will pass, showing that his wits are still about him, nodding his head in that.
On this occasion, not only was Usyk required to match his opponent with blistering combinations of his own, but he also needed the physical endurance to outlast the Latvian down the stretch to become the unified WBO and WBC Cruiserweight champion.
Oleksandr Usyk!
The punching abilities and aggressiveness against Huck had now been followed by incredible levels of fitness and toughness against a prime Briedis. All that remained now was a boxing masterclass against the venomous Murat Gassiev, a 26-0 knockout artist coming into the final with 2 brutal stoppages.
Once again. Oh my goodness!
Questions. Gassiev with an uppercut, followed by a body shot, and down!
As the unified IBF and WBA champion himself, he matched Usyk's 2 trinkets and the desire to become the division's first ever 4-belt undisputed champion.
So here we go then, round 1, scheduled for 12. The tournament #1 seed, Oleksandr Usyk, with the white trunks trimmed with gold.
But whatever the violence he planned to unleash, it was no match for Usyk's sharp jabs and educated footwork. Even a brief moment of success in the 4th was shaken off by the Ukrainian's impressive chin, as the Russian appeared stylistically outmatched against a dazzling southpaw offense.
But this is a blistering start to the 9th stanza by Oleksandr Usyk, putting his punches together beautifully.
Favoured to win the competition from the outset, Usyk saved his most dominating performance for last, as all 3 judges scored wide in his favour.
And now the undisputed Cruiserweight Champion of the world.
The 31-year-old, already a gold medalist from London 2012, had now battered his way through Marco Huck, Mairis Briedis and Murat Gassiev, all on foreign soil, to emerge as the undisputed best in his weight division.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause, if you would, for the new undisputed Cruiserweight World Champion and the winner of the Muhammad Ali Trophy, Oleksandr Usyk.
This remarkable achievement alone would have been an ideal farewell to the Cruiserweight division. But a quick return to the UK for a high-profile bout against Tony Bellew, the only other worthy challenger outside of the tournament, allowed the champion to deliver a spectacular 8th-round knockout to endear him to a new set of fans eager to see him return against other local opponents.
He deserves all the success in the world. I only wish you greatness. Thank you.
By now, comparisons were being made with his childhood hero Evander Holyfield, who also had a tremendous amateur career and followed up by ripping through Hall of Fame competition in the Cruiserweight division to become the undisputed champion in the 3-belt era.
Round 8. Bill Swain steps in. Evander Holyfield is the undisputed Cruiserweight champion of the world.
Both men clearly stood as the two greatest cruiserweights of all time. All that remained now was for Usyk to follow in the American's footsteps and conquer the heavyweight division.
First, Kubok Muhammad Ali.
The Ukrainian's resume was already first ballot Hall of Fame worthy prior to entering the heavyweights. But as is the case with fighters of exceptional talent, a special demand is placed to break out of their comfort zones and fight opponents outside of their natural weight class.
A crushing left hook by Ray Robinson and Scott goes down.
From vintage legends such as Sugar Ray Robinson and Henry Armstrong, to modern-day icons in Roy Jones and Manny Pacquiao, the ability to topple champions in heavier divisions will forever be a hallmark of the sport's pound-for-pound greats.
From Kiev, Ukraine, Bobby Toppling, Oleksandr Usyk.
In Usyk's case, the idea of repeating his cruiserweight feats was especially daunting given the unlimited weight advantages his new heavyweight opponents would have. But in just 6 outings, the resourceful contender managed to capture all 4 of the major world titles by toppling 2 of the best heavyweights of the current era.
And this long-awaited bout at heavyweight is very nearly upon us.
Upon entering the heavyweight division, Usyk successfully completed 2 introductory fights against Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora.
Oh, good action here, and Usyk opening up, and now he's backing Chisora up.
But it was the super champion status he previously earned with the WBO at Cruiserweight that qualified him for an immediate shot at Anthony Joshua, the then unified WBO, WBA and IBF heavyweight champion.
I've always jumped in at the deep end, and I'm ready to swim and take these chances. You know the old saying, no risk, no reward.
The 2 fighters seemed bound by destiny, as both, just 1 day apart and in the exact same arena, won Olympic gold for their respective countries in 2012.
Olympic super heavyweight champion in the blue corner, representing Great Britain, Anthony Joshua.
Many experts correctly touted Joshua to become the next superstar heavyweight champion of the world. But a prophetic few went 1 step further and predicted Usyk to one day enter his territory and mount a significant challenge.
I wasn't on the amateur scene for long enough to know about Oleksandr, but when I started getting heavily involved in boxing, I do a lot of research.
9 years on, the two found themselves back in London in a shared ring. The Briton, fighting on home turf with an already decorated reign as world champion, opened as the betting favourite. Outweighing his challenger by almost 20 pounds, his athletic prowess also brought forth a formidable knockout record. As a whole, Anthony Joshua perfectly embodied the dangers an undersized fighter like Usyk can face when stepping up in weight. One ill-thought maneuver could swiftly end the former cruiserweight's night, as had been done to so many of Joshua's victims in the past. But those who had paid close attention to Usyk's career were acutely aware of the unique threats going the opposite way.
And Usyk's southpaw precision stunned the British crowd. Joshua's power, Usyk's chin.
And much to the surprise of the 65,000 pro-Joshua home crowd, Usyk expertly handled the bigger man with constant movement, feints and quick-fire combinations.
The challenger for the Ukraine, beautiful shot, but Joshua's hurt here in the third round.
Joshua, despite having a significant weight advantage, dialed back on his power to improve his accuracy against the nimble challenger. But Usyk forever remained one step ahead and prevented Joshua from settling as the rounds piled up in his favor. Joshua, fatigued by Usyk's stinging combinations, was reduced to a pedestrian-like pace. As the closing segments of the fight approached, it became increasingly obvious that the crowning of a new unified champion was imminent. All three judges favored the ring generalship, work rate and intelligent boxing of the Ukrainian. It was a stunning performance to become only the third boxer in history, after Evander Holyfield and David Haye, to win world titles at both cruiserweight and heavyweight. But the praise Usyk received thereafter was also followed by a damning assessment towards the fallen champion, whose critics argued a tentative strategy cost him the fight. As such, Joshua activated his rematch clause immediately and sought the coaching expertise of Robert Garcia, who was known for instilling an aggressive, attack-minded approach in his subjects.
He was holding back a little too much in the previous fight, like he says, he was focusing on just boxing, but he could also be an aggressive fighter.
Whatever Usyk had proved in the first bout needed to be shown once again, this time against a more galvanized version of Joshua, with an updated and more appropriately advised game plan.
Will Oleksandr Usyk back on the road again reinforce his superiority to Ukraine?
With a renewed intensity to the challenger's approach, the second encounter was fought with a more frantic pace. And where previously Usyk's effortless footwork and quick-fire southpaw attacks were enough to sweep a decision, Joshua's emphasis this time on the Ukrainian's body forced Usyk to dig deeper into his bag of tricks.
Usyk in real trouble here. How elusive will Usyk be under this sort of an onslaught, this sort of pressure?
Usyk's exceptional conditioning and unwavering heart miraculously saw off an unrelenting assault from a power-punching titan outweighing him by 20+ pounds.
Joshua's needed that. He smiles through the gum shield.
And much to the bewilderment of Joshua, a revived Usyk in the following round suddenly came out of the blocks with an unmatchable pace. This accelerated burst was not only physically draining for Joshua, but it also mentally shattered whatever confidence he had built in the previous round. And once again, the closing segments of the fight saw a fatigued Joshua unable to contend with Usyk's relentless work rate and movement. According to CompuBox, in the last 3 rounds, Usyk threw 232 punches to Joshua's 149 and outlanded him 79-29. The fight this time around was certainly more competitive, thanks largely to the improved efforts of Joshua and his corner team. But Oleksandr Usyk's brilliance for the second time stood alone, as he retained all 3 of his world titles, as well as adding the prestigious Ring magazine belt to his collection.
And you believe you will become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world?
Тільки Бог знає, стану я чи ні.
Only God knows whether I will or not.
Respect to Oleksandr Usyk. It was a high-level fight, and there's a new unified heavyweight world champion. There's no point sulking about it.
Though a fantastic achievement, dethroning Anthony Joshua and claiming the largest share of the championship belts was not enough to settle the long-standing debate over who was the undisputed #1 heavyweight.
Where does Usyk fit in the heavyweight picture now, in that top 3, top 5, Johnny?
Well, he's nudged himself right in there. So now the argument is, does he beat the likes of Wilder? Does he beat the likes of Dillian Whyte? We don't know, because different styles that make different fights.
And to undermine Usyk's performances, the few remaining cynics argued Joshua, despite his tremendous punching abilities, was too entrenched in an orthodox technical style to pose any threat to Usyk's creativity. The true test, they argued, was against the self-proclaimed Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
You're fighting the best British heavyweight there's ever been. The dauntless in these waters, me. You beat all the rest of them, but you ain't beat Tyson Fury yet, sausage.
As the WBC and lineal heavyweight champion, the undefeated Briton was regarded by popular opinion to still be the #1 heavyweight, having secured 2 monstrous scalps in Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder.
United Kingdom.
Despite his hefty 6'8", 270-pound frame, he maintained an uncanny style built on mobile footwork, reflex-based defense, and brisk combinations to forestall his opponents.
Lovely. 1-2 spinning off the ropes.
And a hint of a smile on the face of Tyson Fury.
His long reach and frustrating jab, along with his ability to use his substantial weight in clinches, made him a puzzling assignment for any modern-day heavyweight.
Someone 6'9" shouldn't be able to move like I can. I defy every law of gravity. It's not fair.
And these notorious disengaging tactics meant that the much smaller Usyk had numerous stylistic and physical hurdles to overcome.
Little man!
Yes, I little man.
Standing 5 inches smaller in height and 7 inches shorter in reach, the Ukrainian also faced an almost 40-pound weight disadvantage on fight night.
He ain't the biggest puncher in the world, and he's not the biggest, strongest man in the world, so listen, I can outbox him, I can get on the front foot and slaughter him. There's plenty of ways that I can skin this cat.
It therefore came as no surprise that with these factors in mind, Usyk entered the bout as the betting underdog.
I'm coming for his heart. That's what I'm coming for. His belts. I'm coming for his heart. He's getting it tomorrow. Spark out! Hit a lot of them. They can all get it if they want it too.
To those supporting the pro-Fury narrative, the fight appeared to be going the Gypsy King's way in the first 6 rounds. Despite a positive start in which Usyk found success with the straight lefts, the Briton took control by keeping the fight at distance and walking Usyk into jabs and uppercuts. With the occasional crunching body shots also thrown into the mix, a dejected Usyk seemed unable to close the gap and mount a meaningful offense.
Oh, good body shot.
Good body shot.
That was a good body shot.
I think he's
trying to hide behind the ref.
He's hurt Usyk for the first time. He's moving.
He's been putting in some wonderful work to the body.
He's letting that body shot.
He's letting them body shots go.
In the eyes of many in attendance, the fight was heading towards another Tyson Fury victory. But boxing is a sport where its many layers and sequences are often unfolding simultaneously. And what appeared to be happening on the surface differed tremendously from the underlying reality.
What did you just say to Tyson Fury? Don't be afraid. I will not leave you alone tomorrow.
Right from the opening bell, Usyk employed constant feints and quick-fire combinations to keep Fury on constant alert. His aggressive footwork to close the distance also meant that the bigger man was constantly towing his 260-pound frame around the ring to maintain breathing space.
Tyson, don't be afraid. I will not leave you alone tomorrow. Let your hands talk in the ring.
This frantic rhythm meant that Fury, more than any other fight in his career, had expended tremendous amounts of energy, to which the consequences began showing as early as rounds 7 and 8, where Usyk regained control.
Much better this from Usyk.
It's like he's come out switched on. It's like...
Yeah, well he had to.
A different
Oh, big right hand from Oleksandr Usyk.
The genius of these tactics finally paid dividends in a dramatic round 9, when Usyk unleashed a monstrous left to put Fury out on his feet. The brutal assault that followed could have prompted the referee's intervention, but by the time a knockdown was finally called, the bell sounded to save the WBC champion from an impending stoppage. A fight where many thought Fury was locked on for a dominant win was instead turned on its head by the tremendously brave and intelligent tactics of Usyk, who continued to boss the remaining 3 rounds to edge out a split decision victory.
Oleksandr Usyk is the undisputed champion of the world. 115 to Usyk, 114, 113 to Fury, 114, 113 to...
By securing 3 combined wins over 2 of the era's best heavyweights, Oleksandr Usyk joined the ranks of Naoya Inoue and Terence Crawford as the only male fighters in the 4-belt era to become undisputed in 2 different weight classes.
He came up from the cruiserweight division where it was a tough cruiserweight division. Not every generation of cruiserweight is tough. Usyk won the undisputed cruiserweight title in a generation of really tough cruiserweights. And then he came up to the heavyweight division, and for him to become the undisputed heavyweight champion after having won the undisputed cruiserweight champion.
This achievement also continued the flattering comparisons with his hero, Evander Holyfield, who also achieved undisputed at both cruiserweight and heavyweight.
He don't fought everybody, he fought for the United Belt, so he's the only champion. You know, I know how I feel.
And though the modern heavyweight field isn't as deep as the one the American navigated, Usyk's ability to overcome larger and more powerful opponents like Joshua and Fury suggests he too could have swam in the same deep waters that Holyfield did.
I mean, yeah, you're talking about all-time great status, which I think he already had, but now you're having the conversation. Is he the greatest of all time or not? You know, and now those are always debatable conversation. He's earned his way into that conversation now.
It's also important to note the manner in which Usyk journeyed through the 2 weight classes. As the consummate road warrior, he hasn't fought in his native Ukraine since his 9th professional bout. And for every world champion he toppled, from cruiserweight to heavyweight, he did so on foreign soil.
One to the head, one to the body, back comes Usyk.
In nearly all of his high-profile bouts, such as Glowacki, Bradis, Gassiev, Bellew and Joshua, he fought in his opponent's country. Only the Tyson Fury fight, which was staged in Saudi Arabia, did Usyk win a world title in a country that was not his opponent's home turf.
Yuri, don't worry, we win.
At 37 years of age, time is not on Usyk's side to build a lengthy heavyweight resume to stand alongside the division's historic legends. But with his cruiserweight achievements in mind, he has already done enough to cement himself as an all-time pound-for-pound great, and arguably the world's current #1 fighter. Everything the Ukrainian great does from here, including the much-anticipated rematch with Tyson Fury in December, will just be icing on the cake.